record button. There it goes.
Now it's on.
Yay!
Now you're getting recorded, eh?
Hey, it works.
There we are. Okay. So now we are all set, eh?
Yes.
So were you able to look up the recording? The
I
Did you
did,
get?
and I'm still I'm confused about when you would use the in URL.
Right.
So
I'll
I
explain that.
understand how to do it, but I'm not understanding why you would make that decision when you're doing making a query. That's the
Okay.
only part I'm confused about.
Okay, so I'll explain that for you.
Perfect.
Make it very, very clear. Okay. Now we are all set. Okay. So what happens with in URL, one of the things that really make it most viable and most recommended search is, for instance, we will use these examples that are in the recording.
All right.
The biggest advantage I find in looking up the URLs, first of all, they're the you could say the pathways, all these URLs that you're querying, they take you to a certain page, and it has this DNA of sort. It has the kind of information that if you apply it within URL, it'll take you directly onto the links and onto eventually onto that landing page. So that's the one advantage of it. Second is that when you're collecting links that are not necessarily coming out from, let's say, a website X, but the website X wants to know who else is using their links, or if any of the links that are outside of that domain, but they are called referential links or inbound links, to find if those links are set on third-party platform, you can see who is using it to bring the traffic onto your site. So it sort of, it tells, this is the only way that you can find out if your competitors is using the link to bring the traffic to you,
Oh,
or if there is somebody else using it and you want to be more careful about intellectual property of what you wrote or whatever is on your website, you want to see who else is using it to bring someone onto your page, because most certainly they wouldn't copy and paste it on their site, but they might just use link as something that could be considered a reference, or a citation of any kind. Even that information can be scooped out. So the links are where, the traffic or the movement of the pages or linking of the pages. That's the only way to communicate in the internet world. So that's why links are more important. Second importance is that if you understand the structure of the link, typically they are set according to certain standards. And those standards are being followed consistently, not only for the sake of SEO or for the Google to act favorably, but also to maintain some sort of, interlinking or some sort of reference to how they are typically set to give a certain type of information, which is useful not only for the programmer, but for anybody else that wants to communicate or to to cross linking is inbound outbound linking.
Mhm.
So it is, an understanding of how they're structured. And based on your understanding of how they are set, you can actually query certain information which otherwise is very difficult to gather with other operators. For instance, if you are looking for articles only, and you could see that I'm pointing to the word articles here.
Mhm.
You see this one? So
Yeah.
what this word articles is saying is that there is page or something or a directory which holds other information about a page title. Oil giants used search engines. So
Oh.
if I had, if you look at the navigation at the top, and
Mhm.
for that I can show you, take any navigation. Obviously, I'm just going to use AOFIRS all the time. It's
Hey, it
easier because
works.
I live. For instance, if you keep looking at the link and see how I navigate and how the links are changing,
Yeah.
you would probably get a better sense. So if it is certifications, I click on, you could see that the link now is taken you to a directory which is set for certification, or the directory is labeled certifications.
Okay.
And within this directory, if I want to look for, let's say, CIRS certification benefits, let's see what's going to happen. So what it did is that it took me from certifications,
Mhm.
after I clicked on that link, onto a page that is called CRS certification benefits,
Yeah.
right? So this is the name of the page. So these directories or whatever is after the backslash is telling you where it's coming from or
Yeah.
what is the origin. The origin is AFIRS
Yeah.
directory. So you can see how this information is set.
Okay.
Same way, yeah, if I'm looking for articles, I don't know if I need, okay. So it took me to a section which is called articles. So
Mhm.
whatever I'm searching for, let's say Google's, let's take this as an example, and I copy this, and so you would see I'm able to find 10 Google search tricks to find anything, which is what is the title of this article.
Mhm.
But the fact that I'm only querying the articles, it would have the word articles in it, you see,
Okay.
in the length of step. So unless I'm looking for blogs, and you would find it is quite a convention. It's always going to be a section or a category that you navigate to, which is going to be specific to the source of that document, being a blog, or it could be an article, or it could be a news. So if anything that could be a news, then you would find that this word article would be replaced by news. So
Okay.
that's how the directories are set and labeled basically for someone to be more specific to the source. They can use in URL and put the word articles in there, and then give the, you know, just then look for the title of that document. So if the title says Google search only, and the section I'm referring to is articles, I could do two instances of in URL. First, I could write in URL articles, and then I could write in URL Google search, for instance. It would pick everything in this section of articles that has the word Google search in it as part of the title, or it could even be the entire title if you remember it correctly. If not, even these two words would bring all those articles
Okay.
that, you know, and if it
And
was a news section, it would be Google search that pertains to news source.
okay. So you can also use the in URL to find articles that have specific terms not limited to just one site?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I
Yeah,
thought so,
that's
but I was getting kind of confused. I'm like, okay, I need to put everything aside, but I think I got it. So that's super helpful.
yes. So that's the major utilization of it. So if I want to go to the forum, for instance, and pick up a topic, and not necessarily restraining it to a specific domain, I would be really querying any links that talks about that or it's taking me to the forums of any sort, as long as that forum source has words which I want queried inside of the URL. It would bring me everything that has to do with those specific terms, but originating from the forum site. So
Okay.
even if it is social media, I could do in URL to take me directly to links that has the word, let's say LinkedIn or Facebook in it, and then follow that or subsequent, um, you know, of additional in URL we can use to give it that search term to be found inside of the LinkedIn or Facebook, you know.
Okay.
So that's another way of using in URL.
Okay.
Um, I am going to go back to the um, because we see they have actually picked all the URLs that all the in URL instances with these queries to cover everything. I don't want to leave out anything that has to do with in URL.
Okay.
Uh, so this would cover it. It
Okay.
has all different situations.
Yeah, I watched the entire video and I'm sitting here going, okay, I think I got it, but I wasn't 100% sure. So that helped.
Now you're clear, right?
Yes, it's one of those. Now it makes sense because for me, the biggest question wasn't how you do it; it was why you do it. And now that I know why, it makes it a whole lot easier.
Why was the most important part, actually.
Yeah,
Why was then? So I'm glad I was able to explain it.
'cause,
Um,
I'm the type of searcher. I need to know why in order for me to feel comfortable doing
sure,
it.
absolutely. And it's a common sense thing. I mean, anybody with any rationale in their head would look at why first before they learn how.
Yeah.
So, so we'll just do these queries. I think that's what and because I'm not able to copy and paste it, it's going to take time to write it. You can always test it out, but a great part of our time will be spent just explaining all these. And
Okay.
after this, we will see if we can cover the side colon operator and so on. So, you know, whatever is left over from advanced search,
Okay.
especially the range operators before and after. Hopefully, I'll be able to do it. Um, Today, my time is a little bit tight, sort of nothing happened on time. So I'll see if I can wrap it up as soon as I can. If not, then I have to finish it at 8. I have to be somewhere. Anyway, let's start with the first one. So you could see that we have used in URL in 3 different instances where I'm extracting a date as one of the reference or context, uh, along with the word CNN and in URL the word robocalls. So what I did when I searched, I got like bunch of links, like not necessarily just CNN.com with 2000, and robocalls could have different articles with the just the word being in there as part of the title. So we got several links, one of which is displayed right here. It went to the CNN site, or it took the word CNN, not correctly said. So I would take my words back. Not specifically, it's going to query the .com. It would just look at the word or the textual part of it. So when you see this CNN.com, it is not very finicky about, you know, it being site address or not. It is just going to look at the word form. And if you wrote, well, let's suppose we just stick to this one. So CNN was taken as a word. 2021 would allow you to restrict the search, or you see, these dates have a lot of significance as to, when the publication was or in which year the publication was. So if you put 2021, you are creating further restriction by adding it to in URL. So in URL is now going to match CNN as one word and 2021 as the year in which the article or any of these wordings that carry the word robocalls is going to be matched. That is in the entire length of the um, of this query of this URL. So robocalls, it brought this one. Okay. Now in the second example, you could see that in URL, the entire domain with the .com extension was used. And so, and I think I've mentioned it before also, anything that does not have a space in between words, or even anything that is assumed to be a connector like dot here or could be a dash here, but because it's a domain and I put .com without any gaps between the dot and anything on either side of it, it is assumed to be one single word. So this is now automatically become a term. So you could be querying NewYorkTimes.com as the domain, or the entire domain can be written. And the date itself, which is shown here as 2022/12 /21, the entire date. The problem with the date is that even though it's most important in so many different ways, um, but because the convention of how people write the date is always an issue. There is times when you find in certain links the date is written different, like it could be 2022/12/21 without any gaps or without any backslash. But in this case, this backslash is an exception to be included or assumed as if it is a date format. Okay. So how the backslashes are used elsewhere, which is defaulting or taking you to the subdirectory of the main directories, starting from left to right. Only the date portion is not considered or is not assumed to be the folder, but rather recognized automatically as a date structure. So if the date structure says that it has to be written this way as it is shown or is put inside of the in URL, it will be matched exactly as if it is, placed within the quotations. That's the thing with in URL. So if for some reason NewYorkTimes.com site does not have the structure that you have put in the in URL query, or it is a different structure, then there would be a problem in delivering the correct results. And therefore, the in URL is quite particular about it. So the best way is, and I tell you, the people write the dates in different, as I mentioned, different formats they use, depending on their programmer or their, how they've designed the site or the design the URLs. Um, and if you get to see them, let's say if you just for the sake of picking up how the structure, how the URLs are structured in the site NewYorkTimes.com, go to that site and see how these dates are set or what format is used. And that would help you. Other than that, there could be a better option if you don't quite, because who remembers the exact day and the month? Sometimes you remember the month, you don't remember the day. So the issue here would be, what do you do? So in that case, just use the year 2022 and it would then recognize it as a piece that it is going to match for the year. So 2022 can be matched. It would not necessarily have to pick up the rest of it with the \12 \21. So you could just use 2022 and that would work also. The We didn't do the asterisk yet, but some people try to use asterisk with the in URL queries. That is not suggested, even though you could probably use it with in title and in text, but while you're doing in URL, the asterisk is not suggested. Static is usually is most useful when you are not using any advanced operator and it's just keywords or search phrases with the missing or misspelled something that you're not sure of. You can use it there, or you can use it to fill in whatever is left in between words, or it would try to bring in information or the wordings that generally would be suggested by the search engine, because now we're going to call it a wildcard, and that's where the asterisk is most useful. And so people use asterisk in the date or anywhere when they're doing search within URL. And that's, well, in URL is particularly very finicky and is very demanding, that it would want the precision in terms of whatever is placed either inside of the quotations or anything that has to follow after the colon sign has to be accurate, exact, in singular or plural form. And you could see that there is another example, which is example 3, that is doing that to make it easy for the search to find two formats of words, or singular and plural at the same time, but using an OR. So if I'm not sure that in the length of the URL, the word article as a singular or a plural is used, I would then create a condition which would, and by the way, make sure you, whenever you're using OR, you are comparing apples with apples, in the sense that if you're doing in URL colon article, it has to also have the same operator used as an option to be compared with the OR. So in URL article, and then another instance of in URL with the plural word articles is used to make, when you're not sure, that's, and you're using in URL. That's the way you're going to put it. So in URL articles is a plural, and I didn't know if either of these words make it into the URL of a site, and it's a subdomain, EANDT, whatever this means. It's an acronym or abbreviation. So the entire subdomain would be default. It's the query is going to default to this subdomain and see if it can find either of these two words. And it did so with the plural of it, which is articles. And what else? The word search engines has to be there. That was another condition. So all of these conditions have to be met for it to bring you to this link, which you're looking for. Okay. So that's the third example. In the fourth example, as I answered your question about the utility of in URL when you're planning to um, restrict it to a certain source of info. In this case, I want something that is coming from a news section and nowhere else. So I might want to use the word news as being part of the URL, or it could be a directory. Then you've got the year here and the search engine. So what I ended up getting is this search term to be found somewhere in, and I've not made it specific to a certain domain. You could see that it could be a news source from anywhere. But as long as I'm able to get the word search engine coming from the news part, I should be able to, or there's a greater likelihood I'll find it as a in the news section somewhere. And all those news, I guess, all those news topics are going to search for the word search engine. Um, and then there was 2022 I used. So anyway, that's just to tell you that if we want to just be specific to the news area or the source being news, that's why we have given this example 4. In example 5, we want a source of information that has to, and here we have used different operators. So this is your first major example or situation where you have used multiple advanced operators like in title and in text. So what happens in this query, and this is eventually what you should be doing, that's when you can use all those operators to basically, to fine tune your search query. And why we have done it this way in example 5 is what I'm explaining now. So I want in URL or the section or the subsection or anything that has the word forum in it, assuming that it would default to a directory of a link that has the word forum in it, and also assuming that this is the only way that we can be specific to find something more or more precise to find something in forum, and assuming that there is a directory named forum in that in those URLs, uh, and not that forum is used as a word in the title of a document. So that is a chance we have to take, but there is a way around it to make sure that the word is coming from the source strictly and not that the word forum is part of the titles of the page. So for now, let's say we took a chance, we put the word forum in it. But then you see in title meaning that anything that is going to be more specific to the title part, which is actually going to bring information within the forum area, that it's strictly identifying that page to be talking about Windows 11, for instance. So I know or assumed that the title part might have this word to actually create a topic or call it a topic of forum. That's why I used the word Windows 11 with in title. But when you get to the in title, it is logical, and there is a map that you create automatically, but since you do a lot of research online, you get the hang of what could be the title or what would be discussed within the title in the body of text on the rest of the statement. So to see that within the topic of Windows 11, we want to be specific to the word keyword as, or we could write whatever, a lengthier text or a better text using in text could be keyword problems, right? So that word logically would exist in the body of text. So that's where you are going to, take your chance, bring your query to a more precision search format by using multiple interoperable operators. When I say interoperable, the term is more relevant if you understand that certain advanced operators don't work alongside each other. So that's why interoperable is being used. Um, the ones that are non-interoperable being absolute commands, but not allowing any other command to coexist with it, we have a list of it, and those will be mentioned as we go through them and explain why they don't work together. So for now, in the example 5, we are giving an exam. We are trying to explain how we can use in title, in text along with the in URL. Okay. A lot of ways that you can leverage in URL. One of the things that is mentioned in query 6 is that, and and when we talk about convention or the typical methods in which we structure the URLs, that practically is a DNA of where you're going to go, and some information there is going to tell you the areas or sections or categories. So all that information being there, one of the things that is important or is of significance is that certain websites have have in their stem an abbreviation of a country or abbreviation of a language. Sometimes they have an abbreviation that is defaulting to information coming from a domain, which is obviously is part of URL, that has extensions like in India, if it is a LinkedIn in India, as an example, if I can think of, it would have in.linkedin.com. If it is a LinkedIn that is bringing information from UK version of LinkedIn, it would have linkedin.co.uk. So those things usually are in the stem of the URL. And if you understand uh, how they are set, or some may be peculiar, some may be different depending on the country, or if you're going to to be specific about a language without having to write the word French, for example, you could use an abbreviation like FR, which is what is mm, um, commonly used for translation. Even in Canada, we have FR to get the French version of something that is embedded in the stem of URL. If you want to, without changing the language, if you just type FR, it is going to bring you a site that is got the content in French, or if it is coming from France. If that's a news of some sort with a caption or a heading or a topic in which you're interested in, but you want to quickly look at the French version or the Ukrainian version of what is happening, these days with the war and all that, you could just type. I think Ukrainian is, I don't know what the abbreviation is, but if it is from Ukraine, it would be not UK, but I think it's UC or something that is actually mentioned in the book. There is a list of abbreviations. Perhaps I should take you to that page and let you know how you can learn from it and use it in your searches. But before I do that, let's look at this in URL. And I have actually put a notation like backslash with the word FR. I didn't have to put the backslash if I chose not to. It's just to show you that notations that are available as or are information similar to how I've shown you the date part, where we have written the date like this. Same way, you can write backslash FR, because this would be in the length of URL. Normally, with the backslash, the version or the French version in this case would be followed after the backslash. So to make it an image that could be a mirror image of something that's matchable exactly as you place it after the colon sign, along with the notation, will be matched as shown here. Then everything else is the same. I guess similar to what we did with in text and in title. Um, we wanted to get to the French version. Windows 11 is the topic or the title, and the text should contain words like keyboard and Microsoft keyboard, we didn't have to put it within quotes, but anyway, just because you want to separate it from the word Microsoft. Otherwise, what may happen is that keyboard and Microsoft might club together, or it attaches automatically sometimes, and it is queried as one single search term. Even if you don't put it within quotation marks, both of these together, it may be attached. The keyword might be attached to the word Microsoft. That is how the algorithms work, unfortunately. So there is a restraint that we have to create that separates the word Microsoft from the word keyword. And to do that, we put keyword within quotation marks. Is this clear? You can look at these examples. I should give you, it should be a pause in between so that you can ask questions or you can review this. So I'm going to leave this open for a little bit, and I want you to just review this while, if you can, because I think I'm just going to take a 10 minutes break here, and then we'll continue with two more examples, which is also part of the video illustrations. And it should cover everything, and then see if we can run some of the examples on the browser and answer any questions that you might have. Okay. So let's meet. Okay, are we ready to continue, everyone? Let's see who is in the class today. Is Listy there? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Navid.
There you are. There you are. Hi.
Right.
Okay, Listy, did you get a chance to check on the video?
The one you asked us to watch yesterday? Yes.
Okay, good. Any questions that you had, or was I able to answer things for you today?
No question. I'm good today. I'm good so far.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, coming back to the video part, it has some good illustrations. That's why I just thought maybe it could be a shortcut. Looking at the example set B, I'm going to try to explain something in this example which might come across as a very different concept. See, what happens is that with the way in which sites are programmed, or how the pages are set with the links in them, the structure of the links apparently is sometimes very complex. One reason could be that they want to hide, or say, not hide, but they have a restriction, or some sort of security issue. So they create a URL which is for that specific page, but then at the same time, the search engine like Google or even Bing, whatever they may be, they have come up with a convention of how one has to translate that complex URL in simpler words, and so that it can be indexed by the search engine. And everybody wants to do that. So what they do end up devising is something they call masking the original URL, or hide that URL, so that the search engine would default to the version of the same URL which is really covering for the original URL. So we call it a masking process. And when we are doing in URL search, the search engine not only looks up that specific portion, which is actually now set according to their terms or their conventions. One of the and the convention right now that they are sticking to is called breadcrumbs. Breadcrumb is when you write the URL in simpler words and not make it complex, as you could see in B right here, where I'm pointing to this area. Let me see if I can again. Okay, so it's not going to work. Anyway, so this is the original URL B, and the masked, the one that is masking the original URL is on top, which is URL A. Okay. So when you do in URL, it checks deeper and matches the wordings that are there in the breadcrumb version of it with the original version, which is running at the back end. And that backend version is not actually hidden from the search engine. And so it is going to match both together. In other words, it's going to look for the originality of where the URL is not rigged to just stuff it with the keywords to make it more favorable. Rather, it is going to do its own match to compare it to see if wherever it is coming from, it's got the similar type of words in them. So you are looking at A and B, where B is masked by A. Okay. So having said that, you can look at example 7. That's what brought these URLs or brought these snippets with the URL A in it. That's what's going to appear in the snippet. A is the conventional one. Then we've got the words blog or blogs. We've got the word blogging as well. So we've given it 3 options. And it picked up the word blogging along with the word search engine to bring this URL. That's all there is to know about 7. It's just highlighting some of the ways it does deeper search. In example 8, and this needs to be understood. In fact, 8, 9, and 10 are very important. In 8, you could see that we are trying to use exactly the same example as at the top. I guess not using the word blogging, or are we? Anyway, in URL blog blogs, in URL I need search engine, but then it is an extended query with the minus sign used for the word blog, blogs, and blogging. And the difference being that we have applied, instead of in URL, we have applied in title. And I'll tell you why we had to do that. In what we brought, or what the snippet brought back to us, is the URL C, which is telling you that as a result of 8, we've got the word blog used as being a source or the directory or the category of information that is actually in the shape of a blog. And then whatever the title of the document that's showing up, search engine optimization, let's say, these words does not have the word blog or blogs or blogging in it. None of these words are in it. And why we do that is because sometimes the in URL would confuse the word blog as being part of the title of that document, where you're not concerned about, or you're not looking for, use of the word blog in the title, but rather the source or the directory is what you're querying, so that whatever the title of the documents that appear under the blogs or within the blog section is not confused with using the word blog so that it is not going to defeat the purpose of using the in URL to source it from the blog as a reference or as the main source. And where we used in title, we are telling the search that in the title portion or the title of the document, you do not want these words blog, blogs, or blogging in them, so that it is actually now more specific to the directory or the origin that is from the blog source, and not include, because the title part, remember, the title usually is the tag which identifies with the topic of that content or that specific page. So the best option for us is to eliminate it from using the in title, uh, and to refine it to do as we have suggested. You need to use in title to eliminate those words. And this is one of the more difficult or complexities of how you would apply certain advanced operators, by knowing the concept through understanding of how the HTML is laid out or how it is processed and put in the tags. And we have done that by understanding the layout of the content page, uh, divided into header, meta tags. We understood what title tag is about. So all that we have learned is now coming into play, and you're able to use it effectively in a more complex way, which is actually mentioned in query 8. Does this make sense? Kristen and Randy, are you with me on this so far? See, these type of queries, is what you are looking for in this course to understand the creativity of, because there is only so many operators that are given to us, and there is hardly a lot of flexibility in there. The only thing that we could do with that limited tools, or can call it tools, all these operators we are using, is that we have to really have a very clear concept to be able to apply them. And that's where I find that queries like query 8 is going to bring your knowledge into play. Then there are questions from students, which is what prompts us to give these sort of examples. One of the questions that student ask is answered in query 9 and 10. And what is that question? It is, first of all, based on the return result. For instance, if I had used in URL :CNN as a word, and everything else is the same when you compare it with query 10, with the exception that instead of using the in URL in query 10, we use site:CNN.com. We still got the same results. So what is the difference? First difference is the number of results would be different. And when they are, a lot different relative to each other, like 28 versus 18 in terms of percentage is a huge difference. Apparently, with this query, they were only 28 and 18, but it could be 28 million versus 18 million. So big difference. 10 million is a big difference. Whatever the difference is going to put you in a position to ask a question why they are different or why they are similar. Similar in the sense that you will get a lot of links which would be the same that you would get using, the query with the site operator when you compare it with CNN as a word. Yet you would see that the numbers are different. And I'll explain to you why. First of all, in URL, we are using CNN as a word. So if you had, I probably have to write it in the notepad. So let me just pick the same example. I'm going to have to break out of this. And let's see if I can write the same query. I wish I could just copy and paste it. Anyway, let's do it. It's just going to be a little bit of extra time I have to spend, but let's do it anyway. Okay, so still doing in URL. My query says, so these are the two queries, okay? And we want to talk about the differentiators in case we use in URL versus site. You do have a concept of what site colon does, eh? I'm assuming you must have used it somewhere, and we haven't done this yet, but generally it has everything to do with restricting your search to a particular domain name. Okay? And whenever you're using site colon, you have to put the entire domain here, meaning with the extension, and not just use it as a word. If you just use site colon with the word CNN and exclude .com, it's not going to work. So that's that's given. That's the standard of using the .coms and the entire the site versus in URL. In the in URL, we've used in CNN. Now, what happens? Never mind minus in title block. We're not considering this to be as valuable information for what I'm about to explain. Now, with using in URL, you get different results. Why? Because there could be a third party URL that may contain the word CNN in it. So let's assume it was AOFIRS.org. I'm just writing a link, creating a link that's just for explanation. It's not the exact link. But let's suppose on AOFIRS, I have a mention of an article that is actually coming from CNN, or it has to do with the CNN. And I want this link to have information that the source directory, let's say if it was article and it is coming from a source CNN and it has these wording. Let's suppose these were the topics and this is the URL. Now, what is this URL telling us? This is one way of writing a link that is actually bringing information from a source within articles that is actually tied to the CNN. So if my directory is structured in such a way that I have further um, classified my articles to be coming from the source of CNN, I probably would have a directory of CNN. So in what I have in the length of this stem, words, including the word CNN in it. But my source is not CNN.com, which means that I'm not collecting this article from CNN.com. Just because there is a mention of the word CNN in here, this is going to be called and this is going to be written in your search results. Another thing that might happen is that with in URL, if I take the same everything the same, except that my word CNN now is not a directory, but a part of the article. So now what is happening is that even this link will be queried only because the word CNN makes it into the title portion or the title part. Okay. So now I will get additional links, one which could have origin like this one, call it A, or it could be something that is similar to B. So to avoid A and B and to ensure that all my links are coming from the site of CNN.com, I would definitely have to use a site operator. So when I use site operator, whatever is coming from the CNN.com will be carrying in its stem the word search engine. Basically, the whatever is available from CNN.com is restricted as a return result of carrying title or wherever they have used the word search engine. So I would get less results, which means that the search results would exclude any of the links that are, third party or are not directly coming from CNN. So they might just get less results. So this is why CNN.com versus CNN in URL colon CNN would be the differentiator. But at the same time, know that while it is also bringing these links, it will be querying the CNN part. Let me just give another example. So the links that would show up would also include uh, it would be CNN.com. Let's say this is coming from CNN.com. So now this is considered, this is the domain name, and you got the word. No. I should have used this. So now with CNN.com, it is going to bring it from the source of CNN. And then the word CNN is going to be there as part of the title. And it would actually probably end up bringing the same story as this one. It will bring the same story. So what students get confused over is that how come we are getting the same links, or maybe the first 5 or 10 links are bringing exact same results as using in URL instead of using site colon cnn.com. So that's where the confusion is. But when they look at the number of the results, they find it to be significantly different. And that's what prompts them to ask a question. Yeah? So if you want to search or do a generic search, not really necessarily just looking for the whatever is coming from a specific domain, you can always use in URL and not to apply site colon cnn.com. Okay, so this part we have covered. Now I tried to run a very simple query using in URL. And what I wrote is in URL blogs with search engine as the search term. This is the query I wrote. It's a very simple one. And the result I got is showing here. I got in the URL the word blog.hotspot. But if I look at the topic here, it has a title, a document title, blog search engine optimization. But if I don't want the word blog in here, perhaps I can try minus in title and put the word blog there. Okay, I can try that. But before we work on it, let's look at the other one. Now, this one clearly shows that searchenginewatch.com has tag under the tag. They have one of the tags that are talking about blogs. So whatever the source of that information is probably defaulting to a directory of blog. Similarly, developers.google search, it is talking about blog. So it could be a blog or it could be in the title part. But the word blog is certainly going to be in the URL somewhere. This is a better example, moz.com with the directory of blog would take you to a section where they're only, where they have a list of the blogs or there are the sources from the blogs. And so, will show up. But what is really a nagging problem is when we don't want to use the word blog as part of the title and it just keeps showing up. That's what really keeps, creates a problem for us. But anyway, wherever there is a mention of blog in the title, there is always a directory that talks about or is coming from the source. Like this one, I can tell is clearly coming from a source blog or the directory of blog with the topic alternative search engines. I will try, if I can, to see if I can get rid of the word blog in some of the results. Again, it depends if that directory is taking me to a page that has a listing of different topics written as blogs. Or it could be one single page that has a title that the title or the topic itself, which is not using the word blog. So let me try. If that is the case, then I should be able to eliminate the word blog or blogs. So if I say blog, say minus again in title, let's see what happens. We got 10,900,000 here. Now we have reduced it. It has reduced from 10 million to 8,630,000. So it is doing a better job. In this one, let's see, you can see that the main directory is now set as blog. And the title of it does not have the word blog or blogs in it. So I'm able to get rid of those wordings as part of the topic or the title. Instead, it is actually bringing the information from a directory of, blog right here. So these are clearly directories, not mentioning the word blog or blogs in the title portion. Is this making sense? Any question on this for me? Okay. So all good. And next thing I want to talk about is the site operator. So we don't want to miss out on the site. Let's see what we have for the site operator. Hopefully you're reading the book as well, right? Here. So on page 167 of the book, we have these, we have discussed the site operator. Now, as I said, the site colon means that you should be able to put something after it which appears as a domain or has certain attributes to those words that makes it appear as part of the domain. Appearing as domain or as part of the domain is what I'm going to explain to you. What am I talking about here? Let's suppose, see, generally the domain names are like irs.org, aiip.org, yahoo.com, etc. So these are domain names. You can use .com. I think we even have a .net site. So it could be any site which is .net. I don't know, but let's just say AOFIRS.net. There could be what's the abbreviation of, what's the domain name of the university that you're attached with, Christian? What is the name or the domain name? Just taking that as an example.
Alliant.edu.
Alliance, eh?
No, Alliant, ALLIANT.
.edu.
Yes.
So these are the extensions, like, and then there is USAF.MIL, that's for military, and all that. So these are the extensions. If I have to use the site operator, I have to make sure energy.gov, yes, energy. Right? So all these extensions are there. Now, when we are applying the site operator to look for domain like AOFIRS, I have to put the .org, otherwise it's not going to work. If I want to use site colon operator to find every domain or any search term that needs to default to that extension of a certain type of website, meaning could be edu or org or mil or the gov, whatever it may be. I can use a part of the site domain name, like I can use .org here. I don't have to put the dot here, but I can use org here. So it will bring all the sites from. Now, one of the things that people do is that they put a static here and then they put a .org. This would work also, but static is not really going to do a whole lot. Remember, in URL, we don't use the asterisk. Remember that. So I've mentioned it already, but in the site colon, we can use the asterisk. We can also, and we haven't done the asterisk, but I've explained it verbally. We'll have to do it in the next session. And then we could also write site colon search in, let's say, now dot is automatically attached to org. So we don't necessarily have to put the dot here. Org, it understands because it has that learned wisdom of knowing these extension to be attached to a type of domain. So it has that ability. It can even do like this. It can go like this. It doesn't matter to me. I would just use the simpler way. I just use org. And supposing at the same time, I want to search more than one site to find that specific term, but the extension of those websites would have to be, either edu or gov or .org. Would I be able to use the site operator to search that term? Let's try it here as an example. So if I want to search, let's say org, knowing that site operator is an absolute command, and there were instances where we had to apply the OR for the two type of operators or the same absolute operators to be able to perform side by side. Like file type, we had to put the OR sign to it. I could do edu, but there is one problem when you don't put a dot here. The problem is that it is going to take the partial word edu as part of the domain. For instance, if the domain is, let's say if the domain is what is it? Aligned. No, not domain aligned, but let's say occasional .com. Let's suppose this is the domain, or okay, and if I used the edu as I did over here without putting a dot, then what might happen is that the domain name or part of it may be picked up. So I can try this. If I keep getting a confused result on account of sites that have these wordings in it, then I would just put the dot to make it better. And then I can even add as many versions or as many sites if I'd like. I could also do let's do with 2 first, and then can do even better afterwards. Internet search. This simple one. Now the same thing will happen as we experience with file type if I didn't put an or. So you can take my word for it. I don't want to do that to show that same thing again, but let's just try .edu with the word internet search. So I'm able to get ORGs, I'm able to get EDU. Where is this coming from? I see. Well, that's ORG, EDU. So all of the returned results would have URLs that has an extension of .org or the source as an organization or educational institutes. Especially when you're doing search for research papers or you want to rely on a more authentic source of information like Gov or EDUs, that could be considered more reliable. Therefore, you can, with your search terms, you can use EDUs and ORGs or Gov. If I put here site and I say .gov, see this one? So it is bringing me results from the sites that belong to the government or the educational institutions or the organizations. Now, supposing I am talking about the term internet research, internet search, but I don't want to get the results from a specific or certain websites. So a better example would be, say, Amazon.com. I don't want nothing coming from Amazon.com. And I say, no, in fact, IBM is not making laptops anymore. So let me just change this to Lenovo. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't want Amazon. So I'm going to put a, and again, I made an error here. What I'm going to do is not, I shouldn't be starting the query with a minus sign. I'm going to go back here and put So I don't get anything from Amazon. So none of my results would be actually coming from a source of Amazon.com. I'm going back to the book to find if there is any other interesting queries that we can do. Pretty simple here. And of course, as you see right here, you can write the entire domain name, Pinterest or AOFIRS. You want both of these domains to be serving the pages that has the word CIRS certifications. So you would probably get some of the results from Pinterest, others from AOFIRS. But the sequence or how the snippets would show up in what manner of which of these domains are on priority for it to bring those results. That is based on ranking theorem, something that would actually not be worth mentioning because we can't pinpoint. It is more of a behavior that would be impacted based on the search term you're using, your search history, the implied context to make it more localized, more, so all those things will start to kick in as the influencers that will, impact the ranking results. We have shown here that you can use edu or .edu. It's more or less the same way you can use it. One of the things that are worth mentioning is somewhat having a similarity to how the in URL works or reacts when you are applying a search. Where is it? In a manner which I'm going to show you in this case, for instance, you could see that whenever you write the site colon, it is actually learning or listening to you based on how you are going to put the domain alongside its extension to be considered as an extension of a domain name, not extension in terms of .com, .edu, but an added context which is actually stated exactly how it is put in the link itself or the URL. So if I have to do the search using site, similar to how we have applied the convention in the in URL instances, you can extract a part of the URL and place it right next to site colon, and it would treat it as if you are looking for part of the URL which is actually attached to CNN.com. So anytime you have a domain that has an extension following the domain name itself by identifying the directories after the backslash, it will be matched and it is going to work all the same. What the site colon is interested in is this part. So if part of your link has something of a folder name article, for instance, and you do not use the domain as an extension, but rather extract part of it without mentioning the domain, it is not going to work. So most important is that the domain name has to be part of the link, and that portion of the link you're picking up has to be precise, exact as it is available or it is searchable. So it cannot deviate from the way it's set or written in the actual link, along with the domain name, right? Right. So that's the very few things that you need to remember. Nothing very complicated in this. It's just that you have to really focus on, this part and these extensions for it to work. And, whenever you're going to use an extended version of the domain, it is looking at it as if it is an extension of the domain, but defaults with from left to right to identify with the domain name being present there. Is this also clear? I hope. I don't see this to be anything complicated, not as complicated as in URL. Okay. Let's try, because our agenda today is to finish up site operator. So we'll just get this rounded up. If I don't find anything worth mentioning, we will just conclude the site operator. The other operators that I'm going to talk about is, we will do the date range tomorrow. I'm sorry, on Monday or next class. But today we have enough time to do few other operators quickly. One of the operators we're going to talk about is called related with the colon sign. Any one of you familiar with this one? Related and the colon sign? Or have you heard about it? Okay. So related. Now, related operator is going to be looking for the domain name to be set or placed exactly as we do in the site operator. First of all, let me show you how it is supposed to be organized or placed in the query. Come on. And then I'll tell you what it is about. See, in the site colon, if you compare it with related with site, the difference is that in related, you have to put, let's say if it is cnn.com, you have to put the entire domain name. It's only going to work with the domain name, nothing else. Similar to the site operator, they both work the same. But what it will not work as is when you do okay, never mind, I'll do it. Didn't give that example. So if the site operator is accepting, let's say, you can write the query this way using the site. You can also write site with, as we did right here. All these things you're able to do, but in related, you will not be able to perform any of these functions. You won't be able to perform these two functions. It will only perform with the domain name set exactly like it does as if it is a full domain name, nothing else in the as an extended URL version of it. So it has to be just simple domain name. What it does is the next thing. What related does is looks for the sites which are similar to cnn.com. And this similarity would actually be dependent on different factors. Like when it is reading the HTML tags, It is picking up information which otherwise is not visible to you, but this operator will find it and match it with the competing sites. In what sense? It is only picking up keywords and it is looking at the description along with the keywords, perhaps a little bit of a mix of title statement to compare, and then make judgment to find sites which have similar keywords, have similar titles, and some of the attributes which makes it appear as if it is a direct competitor. So if it's CNN.com, it is a reference to sites which are similar to CNN.com. It is not actually looking for CNN.com, but using it as a reference to compare all these data sets which I mentioned embedded in the HTML, which are going to be matched with others that have exact similar sort of information, okay, about those. So the result would bring you the competitors only, but not the CNN site itself. It is going to exclude it in the results and include only those sites that operationally are the same or same. So you can actually look for competitors. But there is one drawback in this is that perhaps Google is still working on it, because right now it is bringing results for large websites or more famous ones or the ones that are well known. Okay. It is not come down to smaller sites. Like I wouldn't find my competitors using related if I wrote related with my domain name aofirs.org. Let's try it and see what's going to happen with it. So I'm going to take the same query and run it here. I put related colon CNN.com. Let's see what it's going to bring. A CNN is big enough and well known. So let's try it. Observe in the search results the domain names that are showing up. We've got 14 results. And if you look close, you would not find CNN.com, first of all. And second observation is that all these links are coming from news sources or broadcast media sources or anything which has a similarity to what CNN is about. We've got USA Today, we've got the Washington Post, we've got C-SPAN, Weather Channel, Fox, all these are news channels. So that's what I'm going to end up finding using CNN.com. If I had used any other domain name which is for small size businesses, or can just name anyone, what was that, energy.gov, it would probably not bring any results. Is this correct? You think? Randy, you there? Yeah. So it won't bring any results. So, some of the extensions like .org, .edu, .mil, it won't entertain that. That's because it's probably getting fixed, or it is getting improved. But anyway, I had to discuss it. I had to let you know. Many sites will show up, like Yahoo would bring other search engines. And of course, if energy.gov is not there, let's try AOFIRS.org. That's definitely not showing up. Any other that you want to try, you can do that. But I had said my reservations on using related on account of what is observed. So related is one of the operators we can use. Then there is one more operator that I'm going to also apply. There used to be an operator called source with the colon sign. We don't use that anymore because you see, with the search results that were coming up, for instance, like right here, what used to happen is that with source, we were able to collect information like, just by mentioning the domain name, or even domain name is treated as word, so you can put any word there after the source colon, and it's not there. You don't have to use it anymore. But I'm just giving you a little bit of history what it used to bring. So it used to bring collective information on a subject or topic or whatever your search term relates to, by bringing different formats of information. Images used to turn up, links, all kinds of links used to turn up, any mention of or where the date and time stamp needs to be accounted for, or to be mentioned, even that used to come from the source. But now you don't need it anymore because it is now embedded in your um, snippets. You see these three dots here. If I click on this, I get a lot of information which used to require source, but now it does not. It is bringing information from a link, which is a source link. Like if it is, a third party who has indirect link, or who has a reference of that location or that directory information, it used to look at that original source. Better example, remember when we mentioned in our, where was it, return results? I think it was in the video. Remember, we talked about two links, A and B, the one that is masked and the original one. So the original one was the source, and what was masked was something that represents that source, but not entirely giving a more detailed account of where it came from. So where there is a used to be a source URL, that was discoverable by applying source colon. And right now, if you look at what is being returned in by pressing the three dots, in this case, it does not have any other source, but the original source is ahref. But there could be other links. One of the examples that we did in the video was a classic example showing that the source operator, or by clicking on the source, it also brought a link which was different from what was mentioned or is shown on top in the snippets. You can test it out if you like. You run the same query, which I believe was what was the query? I think it was the seventh query, okay, in the video. That is going to explain what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's not the subject. The important thing is that there is now more information available about the origin of the information or the source itself. If you click on this, apparently they're all coming from original source, but let's see, if we keep clicking on it, we might end up finding a URL which is different from what is shown on top in your snippets. Apparently, they're all coming from the main source. But if it was a third-party source, that's going to be revealed also. No, it's the same. Anyway, I wanted to do the link operator. Okay, so the link operator and the date range, let's do it in the next session. I have to be somewhere tonight, it's a weekend and I'm invited on Taylor. So I'm going to conclude our session today. Everything is recorded. Not sure if the previous recording got uploaded. You can always check. I don't check that as much. So, since it's a weekend, you may get a chance to go over what is been recorded in previous few lectures, including this, the one that we did today. That's going to show up somewhere in the afternoon tomorrow on your side, because it does take 24, 48 hours, but they normally do it fast enough. Hopefully, they can get it done for you to review. So for now, let's wish you all a pleasant weekend. Stay healthy and take care of yourself. I'll see you on Monday for the next class. Unless any question I can answer, I'd just say bye-bye and thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Take care.